I know today we have a few current members who are interested in the Pathway session, and we've got some people who are not members yet. It's very nice to see you today. What we're going to cover today is over the next 30 minutes or so, I'm going to walk you through the Board Pathway program, so why we actually created it and what the program actually is and how it works. We're going to talk about what it feels like to go through it and some of the key moments of the program, just so you can get a sense of what we cover. We then touched on who it's really designed for, and hopefully you'll get a better understanding of what you are going to be walking away with as well, and what your outcomes are if you do the program. And then I'm going to hand it over to you guys. If you've got any questions about the program or membership or anything, I'll just open it up to the floor if that's okay. So why have we created this program? First of all, if I could ask you to perhaps answer questions, I'm going to ask Susan to launch a poll, which hopefully will come up on the screen. And I was just wondering if any of these statements resonate with you. Are you not quite sure about how to position yourself? You're applying for roles perhaps and you're not getting anywhere yet. Perhaps you feel that the NED world feels a bit opaque, or you feel like you've maybe plateaued in your board career. Thank you so much for answering those. And maybe it's none of those, and that's fine. It's just to get a sense really in the room. It's really nice to see that these do resonate with you, because we talk to hundreds of people, if not thousands, and we hear those themes again and again. So I'm not quite sure how to position myself. As I say, the NED world feels opaque. I don't really understand how it works, and it is very different from the exec world. There's lots of people we speak to say that they're applying for roles, but they're not really getting that success that they're looking for. And other people actually say that they know that they should be networking more, but they're not quite sure how to do it effectively. Quite a few people feel that they just haven't made time to properly focus on this sort of area of their career. And the underlying thing in all of the sort of issues that we hear about is a bigger issue, really. And that is that people are often taking a reactive approach to their board career rather than a strategic one. And that is one of the main reasons, actually, why we developed the Board Pathway program. And just to make that really practical, let me just show you some of the common pitfalls that we come across as a team, that we see where people go wrong, as it were. The first is applying for roles that are perhaps a step too far, too early. Or people are positioning themselves too broadly. They're trying to be everything to everyone. Others are relying too heavily on headhunters, so they're not being hugely proactive in their career goals. And some people just don't have a clear narrative or hook around what they offer to a board. And then others are just not getting the chance to practice, whether that's their pitch, their networking, or interviews. And none of those really are about capability. That's not the issue with, I bet, any of you on this call today. You'll all be really senior and very capable in what you do. But what's missing perhaps is clarity, the positioning piece, and the approach, so being more strategic rather than that sort of proactive or just hoping that the opportunities will come along. So it's not about people's abilities. And that's really why we created the Board Pathway program. You might have seen that it's a 6-month program, and it's designed really to give you the structure and practical tools and obviously expert insight into how to develop your board career, whether you're starting out or you're developing it, wanting to go more senior or take on more paid roles or go fully portfolio. You also get a peer group that's going through the same thing as you, so that you can all move forward in a much more intentional and effective way. So the program is built around a combination of pre-recorded sessions, which you work through in your own time at your own pace. And then there are live sessions where we come together to practice and maybe apply the content and discuss the content as well and make sure you move forward. And then we have peer interaction, which is a really important part of the experience. So the recordings give you the flexibility, the live sessions give you further depth to the subject, that gives you accountability energy and momentum. And the combination of the two is what we've seen really helps drive progress. So let me bring it to life a little bit more. I'll just go through the actual program itself. As I mentioned, it is over 6 months, and it's very deliberately sequenced so that each stage builds on the last. So you're not just learning topics in isolation. We know how board careers develop and work and how people get success. And we've focused on some of the key areas that we think are really important to have in your toolkit to go out to market with. Now, you might have some of this already. You might be a bit further on in your career. That's absolutely fine. What we're doing is making sure whatever you have now is honed and is working as hard as it can as you look to step up or develop that board career. So it's about building a coherent board strategy step by step. So Unit 1, even before we come together live, you're going to start with a pre-recorded session. And this is really about getting clarity, because without that, everything else becomes much harder. The recording content covers the UK board landscape, what's actually out there, which is often broader than people expect. We touch on the role of the non-executive. Now, you possibly know this already, but we just make sure that everyone is on the same page and we're talking from the same point of reference, but thinking about what boards are really looking for. We then touch on the pathways into board roles, so the most common ways that people develop their board careers, which area, which angle, avenue do they do that from, and from which level of experience, as it were. We have a short diagnostic test, which you take yourself just to help you really identify where you best fit now, not in 10 years' time, but now. And then importantly, we define or help you define your board skills and your positioning. So it's defining, but also, as I say, getting real clarity on that. So then you come into the program not really guessing, but you come to the live session with really a first draft of the direction that you're going in. So the live session is after the pre-recorded, and that's when it becomes much more interactive. So you share your ambitions with your peers, you sense check your direction with your peers and obviously us, and you hear how others are approaching their strategy as well. And you start to build those connections with the cohort. So this session, the live session, is really about setting the tone. It's moving things from theory into something much more real and practical, and really getting you going, as it were, as a group. After getting clarity on where you're focusing and starting to develop that strategy piece, we then focus on something that's incredibly practical, and you can probably see it on the screen, which is your elevator pitch. It's all about how you talk about yourself, how you're introducing yourself as a board-ready candidate or a board-active candidate. We again have a pre-recorded section where we help you break down your pitch into clear components. We help you put all the jigsaw pieces together, and there's various worksheets to guide you on that. And then in the live session, you come together basically to practice. So we do speed pitching with your peers, obviously, but also our team of headhunters as well. And this is where people often see a real shift, because it's one thing to write about yourself, but it's really another to say it out loud and refine it. And it's literally a session that we go again and again. It's lots of fun, lots of laughs, where you are just pitching yourself. And it's really about building your confidence, but also getting that pitch under your skin so that you don't need to think about it as a pitch. It just comes completely naturally. And it's very importantly a safe space. Again, what we've found from past cohorts and from members that we speak to, they've all said they never get a chance, really, apart from looking in the mirror and trying to do a pitch. They never get that chance to just really have a go and work in that safe space. Obviously, we give you feedback on it, you refine it, you start again, and we go round and round, basically. So we then move into your board CV and your positioning. The pre-record for the CV session looks at what a board CV actually is, how it differs from an exec CV. We then share what a good structure looks like, content focus. We touch on common mistakes that we see, as we see thousands of CVs every year. And then in the live session, we bring it to life by reviewing real examples and highlighting what is working and what doesn't work in those examples. Now, obviously, if you're on the course, you would submit your CV, and we would do that if you want to submit it, and we'd use your CVs. So it's really helping you sense check your own documents. And then what we do is we actually give you an opportunity, because by the end of these sessions, believe me, you become experts in CVs and board CVs. So we give you a chance to review each other's documents. You come together, and as I say, you know what we are looking for as recruiters and what chairs are looking for, and you look at each other's documents and give feedback, because what people often realize is that they're either underselling themselves or they're misframing their experience, and it's really making sure that document is working as hard as possible for you when you go out to the market, as I say. Next in the program, we shift focus to how the market actually works. So this is a really important moment in the program, because we cover things like how boards are recruiting today in the current market. We also look at why networking matters so much. We touch on LinkedIn. We don't touch on it. We deep dive into LinkedIn and consider how to use it from your perspective, both for visibility, but also credibility. Then we help you develop your strategy around networking specifically. So you go from having potentially, and this might not be the case for all of you, but we help you move from having lots of coffees to bringing you a much more strategic way of networking and surfacing those board opportunities for you. And then we look at how to engage effectively with headhunters. They're an important part of the market. You need to make sure that you, A, know who they are. So we obviously share that with you and who does what, but also that you are engaging with them effectively so that they start to have you top of mind when they have interesting roles on their desk. That's all pre-recorded. And then we have a live Meet the Headhunters session, which is exactly what it sounds like. And at that session, you might obviously practice your pitch, or you get feedback on your strategy, or understand how you're landing in the market. And it's really a reality check, but in a good way for everyone. And we're like halfway through, or just over halfway through the whole program at that point. So it's a good moment to just check in with our team of experts and get their feedback. Then we move into applications. And this is where we're starting to pull it all together. So in the recorded pre-work, we cover how to tailor applications, what good really looks like. And then we come into the live session where we go deeper into actually reviewing real applications. So looking at past applications, what's worked in them, what's not, what could have been developed or whatever. And that's really understanding what lands and what doesn't. Because at this stage, it's not really about writing well. It's also about positioning yourself for the right opportunities. So next comes interviews and helping you prepare for NED interviews, which can be quite different. Also, what we found is a lot of our members have not gone through formal interview processes for a while. You're all incredibly senior. You might have developed your executive career by moving up, not necessarily going through that more structured formal interview process. So we focus on, first and foremost, how boards assess candidates. We then look at how to structure your answers, what kind of questions come up in NED interviews. We give you a big bank of the most commonly asked NED interview questions. And then we talk about how to demonstrate your board level thinking in that interview. And then in the live session, it's all about practice. You come together and we actually go through a real interview process in small groups. And then we bring it all together with a board simulation for those who want. Now, obviously, if you're already a serving NED, you possibly don't need to do this part of the program. But for anyone who would really like to get that chance to have a real simulation, you work through a real scenario in a board meeting format. You obviously engage in the discussion and the decision making. And crucially, what we do is we actually have a couple of experienced chairs and NEDs in the room with you just to give feedback on how the meeting's gone and so forth. So that's really for people who are maybe at an earlier stage and just want to get the practice under their belt. But that's the structure of the program and what we go through. But once the final sessions have finished, so once you've done the board simulation, you all have the opportunity to join small groups of peers to be mentored by a serving NED chair or one of our consultants. So if you're a bit further ahead, we'll obviously match you with someone who is more senior. If you're just starting out, we might match you with someone who's obviously serving NED, but maybe not as senior. So all the groups make sense. And we've found we've got a number of groups being mentored at the moment, having done the pathway program, and they really like the chance to obviously work with someone who has been there, done that. But it's just a really great chance to check in and keep yourself on track, keep that momentum up, keep the resilience up, and generally set you up for success if you haven't already got it, but you hopefully will have done by that time. So obviously the goal isn't just about completing the program. We all want you to get board success. So we are working tirelessly to keep you moving forwards afterwards. Just to confirm, this program is designed for people who are serious about building or developing a board portfolio. It works particularly well if you're exploring your first NED role or trying to gain traction and not quite getting there, or looking to step up to more senior or paid roles. And obviously with all of these things, it does work best if you're willing to engage. It really isn't a passive course. It isn't a sit back and listen. We really want you to engage and be part of it. In terms of the people that are involved in the program, it's definitely not just me. We've got a lot of search professionals who see how boards actually hire. We've got members of our team who support candidates day to day. And we'll also have external board leaders, particularly, as I say, in that simulation piece and some of the live sessions. So you're going to get a mix of perspectives. So let me see what I can't remember what I've got. Oh yeah, so that's a breakdown. So as I say, you've got the pre-recorded sessions. After you've gone through those, you've got one of those per month. You then come to a live session with our team. We also have an online community for just your cohort so that you can share how you're getting on and so forth. And as I say, you've got the ongoing mentoring after that as well. By the end of the program, what we want is really a clear shift. So at the start, many people feel unclear on their direction, unsure about how to position themselves. You might be having slightly hesitant conversations, but by the end, you should have a really clear board strategy and next steps. You should have a very strong board-ready CV and profile. Obviously, you're going to be more confident in how you're presenting yourself. You're going to have a much more focused and relevant network and a much better understanding about how the market actually works. And basically, you're going to have a plan of action. You're not just going to have a plan of action, you're going to be in the process of actioning that plan. And it's not a governance course. I have to be clear on that. There's lots of other places that you can get up to speed on governance and so forth. Don't think it's about that. It really is a practical program to get you ready to go out to market effectively. So we want to help you have tangible progress to getting the board success that you want. I think that's all my slides. Yes. So on this call, I think we have some people who are members. Now you can sign up if you're a full member. It's part of your membership, so please do sign up. So all you need to do is tell us that you would like to join the next cohort, and then we will send you all the calendar invites and so forth. If you're not a full member yet or not a member of Enter the Boardroom community, you can become a member. We have a free trial running at the moment, and then you would get access to the program. If you are a different tier of member, but think, actually, I'd quite like to have access to this, you can buy the program for £500 and basically upgrade your membership. But that's how it works. But maybe I can just stop there and open up for questions. Who's brave?
Yeah, I've just put in the chat because I'm trying to understand one, how do you become a member, or what do you pay to be a member? And what does that look like here?
Okay, sorry, missed that. Yes, so basically it is £720 to be a member for a year. That includes the pathway program, but also loads of other benefits. So it's a year. It obviously includes all the mentoring afterwards. There is a 30-day free trial at the moment. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to complete the pathway if you didn't continue, but that's That's how it works. Would the program be applicable to opportunities outside the UK? Sandra, thank you very much. Yes, so the program is very much based on how to be a strong candidate. And that is not specific to the UK. I'm just trying to think what's sort of UK specific. We do look at the UK headhunter landscape, and possibly the board landscape is more UK focused, but the sectors that we touch on are probably relevant wherever you're based. In terms of the actual structure of that toolkit, as I say, that's relevant wherever you're based. You're going to have a strong board CV. You're going to have a strong pitch. You're going to have to be good at interviewing. You're going to have to be able to put together strong applications. So all of that would be relevant. Will you be focusing on both voluntary trustee roles as well as paid NED roles? Yeah, again, Francesca, it's about being a strong candidate. I would probably argue that even if I hate how people downplay trustee roles, but if you are applying for a trustee role or a paid NED role, you've got to be at the top of your game. It is an incredibly competitive market out there. High profile trustee roles are just as important to be positioning yourself effectively as paid roles. So yes, I would say, Francesca, the majority of our members and people on the program are very much looking to get serious about their portfolio building. So they're all looking to develop that sort of paid portfolio. If no one else has any questions, great to see you today.
Thanks so much, Madeline.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.